It is really hard trying to mentally juggle and put enough effort in. I don't think anything prepares you for the guilt you feel when you go do something to kind of fulfill your passions, kind of feel like you should be, with them. But I think I'm actually a better balanced mum this time because I've got a good work-life balance happening at the moment.
Hello. Welcome to the place for offbeat health professionals who have bravely swapped their healthcare hats for non-clinical creative caps. I'm Caitlin, a psychologist turned copywriter, and this is Healers with Hustles. My guest today is Krista Fox, the founder of Vlette, a lingerie brand designed for women who find that thongs are just too long. Years of struggling to find underwear that fit her proportions, especially post-pregnancy. Krista realized there were no brands catering to women like her. So she decided to create her own. A background in healthcare in both nursing and oral health therapy, Krista comes from a very different world, but she's embraced the challenges of design and business, loving the process of learning and creating something new. How wonderful. Beautiful. Well, welcome to the podcast, Krista.
Thanks so much for having me, Caitlin.
Just before we hit record, I was saying that I've been really looking forward to hearing your story because you've now got a lingerie brand, but you've got a background as a registered nurse and as an oral health therapist. So I'm keen for you to tell us all about it.
Oh, well, thanks for asking. I guess my career's had a few different segues. I graduated as an RN at 20 years old and worked in ED and ICU for 5 years and went back to uni and did oral health therapy and been working clinically for 9 years before I had my first daughter. During my first mat leave, I currently have a second daughter. I started the process of creating my own lingerie label, which was just something that just evolved. I think I might have had a little bit of a mum maternity moment where I was missing the work side of my work life / new family balance. And I have always had massive lingerie and Vlette was born. So yes, it's been a victory so far.
Yeah, it sounds like there was always like a problem that you had, but then you thought of why isn't there a company that started like this? But that's quite intense because obviously ED nursing and ICU nursing in particular is really hectic. I used to work in admin and I used to work in ICU as an AO, and yeah, some of the things that you would see, it's like, whoa, this is what you do day in, day out. So I'm sure like what you do now must be miles apart from that.
Yes, very, very different and just complete different mental energy and different stress levels. Yeah.
Probably still stressful, but yeah, different maybe type of stress. Definitely. And tell me about oral health therapy. Is that different to oral health nursing, or is that?
So oral health therapy, there isn't actually that many of us registered in Australia. So it's kind of on the smaller of that professionals.
Yeah.
And, people go, well, are you a dentist or are you a hygienist or, where do you sit in this sphere?
Mhm.
I guess the history is what they've combined is the dental hygienist with the dental therapist and put it together to create an oral health therapist.
Mhm.
And depending on where you graduate, outlines what your scope of practice is and also what your work history is compared to ends up helping with where you work. So most of my background is in kids dental, so fillings, extractions, exams, that kind of thing. Some people go more down the hygiene periodontal route. They might work in a general practice or with a periodontist, and some people work in the orthodontic route, so helping an orthodontist. So it's a bit of a kind of niche, I guess, dental area. So it's nice to have a couple of different subsets depending on what your passion is. But yeah, it's a pretty cool field.
It is, yeah, because when you said oral health therapist, I thought, oh yeah, is that like a hygienist or what? Because you can probably tell that I have a cleft lip, so I've been around dentists for quite quite a long time in my early years and very familiar with, the whole process. And I've always got a soft spot for dentists and yeah, definitely like anyone that works in oral health because it was always such a scary time because, it's obviously a lot of pain with braces braces, if I can say the word, and things like that. But the
Yeah.
people are always so lovely, so I think that's so special doing that job.
Yeah. A lot of people do have, and a lot of people have great experiences, but there's also a lot of people with anxiety around dental. And it's also very, I guess, invading on your personal space as well. So I think it's the combination of the two. Yeah, it brings out a lot of anxiety in a lot of people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a good point as well. I hadn't thought about, like, the personal space because it's, like, right up in your
Yeah.
face. So or maybe not, yeah, in the at least to the front end. How did you find that? Like, because you seem like you're a very calm person, so I could imagine that you'd be quite good with the kids and helping with their nerves.
Where my passions lie, and I'm very much so try and be as preventative as possible with when I chat with parents and whatnot. And I also say, like, don't let your fears kind of influence your children, try and stop that pathway. And there's so many kids now that love going to the dentist. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yes.
happy to come in, they have a little X-ray and they're clean and off they go and they're giving you a high five. And it's got more of and becoming more of a preventative focus. So other techniques to make it less invasive. So it's a good boat to be in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No,
Try and,
I like that.
break that generational kind of fear that's kind of
Mhm.
come down from.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's also that influences things because we've obviously come a long way so much in technology and then also like anesthetic
Yep.
and all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's
Yep.
just that branding, I guess, of it to kind of make it
Yep.
as well, maybe in some element. So you went on maternity leave and then you were missing
Yes.
maybe the working side of things. And so how did I'm just trying to get my head around, like, between, like, your idea that you had about your company and then actually doing it,
Okay.
because they're
Yeah.
2 big
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, yeah. So look, after I had my daughter, I found that my problems with underwear had increased dramatically.
Mm.
Naturally, I was carrying quite a bit more weight, still am carrying a little bit juicier. And I'm a short woman. I've always found the length of my thongs and tanger, particularly thongs, like I love a good thong, but just way, way, way too long in the back section for me. Literally every time you go up a waist size, the back goes up. So if you put on a little bit of weight, your problem gets worse. And it was to the point where I was like, "Hey, John, this is my husband. I was like, hey, I can tuck my thong into the back of my bra band. Like, this is ridiculous." Like, yes. Between that and, a bit of a back and forth shuffle, I was just like, nothing is fitting me right. Like, how has no one designed thongs and tangers or even briefs? Like, I find I've just got so much excess material at the back.
Ah,
Yep.
and then
So that kind of led me to go, well, just do something. I think I said to my partner, God, probably 10 years prior to that,
mhm,
I said to John, like, I've got an idea for you and it's shorter length thongs. And yeah, literally 12 years later, I start that journey of
so
creating undies that fit and are comfortable and stay. That's the biggest thing for me is that they stay.
great stay. Yeah, wow, because when I went on your website, like, I hadn't really heard of that before, that concept before, and then when I was thinking about it, I was like, I have a shorter torso and I've always had problems as well, but I just assumed that that's everyone has problems like that, like, I never really thought that.
Oh, well, I tell you, Caitlin, some of the fun parts of being in some market research is ringing up all your girlfriends and having wine. So tell me about your thong and tell me about its comfort and tell me where it shuffles and basically getting the rundown to realize that I've been putting up with a problem for my entire life, worse after I'd had a baby. But like so many of my friends, like, oh, yeah, I had a couple who actually had the other problem. Like they are taller with long torsos and they're like, yeah, they're all way too short. I was like, well, someone else is going to have to do longer length thongs because that's beyond me. I just started looking into it, and then I realized that every thong on the market pretty well follows the same waist to length dimensions. So
Mhm.
if you're a woman who doesn't sit in the typical kind of category, if you're an outlier, then there is literally no solution out there for you, which just blows my mind. Is it all underwear are in one dimension? I mean, at least in a bra, you've got different types and at least two dimensions, but still there's,
Definitely.
problems in that area as well. But yeah, I was like, how?
Yeah, how? Like, that
So,
just seems wild, doesn't it, that
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know about that? Like, what's the history of the thong and underwear for women?
I did actually look into this,
So
into
that
my
was just like
research a while back, but I'm going to have to call baby brain on that one. But it's gone from, big bloomers and things have got
yes.
smaller and smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
And then you're in a itty bitty bikini or a thong. So, yeah. So I
Yes.
think a lot of it these days is either comfort or panty lines for a lot of women. And I just, I'm of the camp of I like a thong that sits and stays and doesn't move, whereas I find all bikinis just end up shuffling and then you've got a unplanned wedgie. It just doesn't sit well.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Yeah, like, just getting used to permanent wedgie. It's like, "Oh, well, I guess this is what my life is now." Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, but
So, yes, I've had a few friends go the other way. They've gone down the, boy short kind of route, and I've heard that's really comfy. But I'm also someone who gets a fill up in my cup from coffee, wine, and
mhm.
lingerie.
And lingerie as well. So nice.
That makes me feel, yeah, feminine and gives me some energy. So,
Exactly. I love
yeah.
that how you did it. Like, it was an idea that you had, what, 12 years ago, but now it's come into fruition.
Yeah. So it was
What
never
was
an
yeah,
intentional journey path to create,
right.
a lingerie label, but yeah, there we go. So it took about a year of reiterations to
Mhm.
have my first line of products ready to go. Quite a lot of chafing and some fun details along the way of trying different constructions and lengths and things. So I've
Wow.
definitely worn a lot of dimensions and crutch constructions along the way. So
That's amazing.
yes,
That's so,
tried and
like,
tested.
funny is try to test exactly, like, that's it. Could maybe go into a brand story about like that. That makes me laugh as a copywriter. Is your family or friends in business? Like, how was that starting your business?
Well, I have a very supportive husband. So my husband is very passionate about business. He's an entrepreneur himself.
Oh, wow, cool,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, he started a business and sold a business, oh gosh, 2.5 years ago, and, has dabbled in startups before and very supportive and passionate about business. So, he's probably been my biggest support.
Okay.
My dad is a plumber. He has a plumbing business.
Mhm.
He's been, yeah, probably a great role model as well. And my mum did the business, kind of the book side growing up. So watching them, I think
Yes,
my
yeah.
grandfather has had a lot of different career paths along the way. I think I missed most of it, but he's a
Mhm.
self-made man in
Oh,
his own right as well. He's taken on quite a bit of risk. So I've seen him do that as well, or heard about it more so. And yeah, I think I've got both my uncles are, yeah, have their own businesses. Now
oh,
I actually
wow.
think about it, yes, there's a lot of
You're like, "Yes, this"
yes. So
yeah,
yes, I have
I was curious.
consciously
Mm.
grown up with, yes, quite a few people who, yeah, created businesses, I guess. So there you go.
No, I was just curious about that because I find that well, maybe it's just maybe my own thing because when I first started, I didn't really know anyone in business. Like, none of my family are in business. Like, they're all in government, Queensland Health, and that was a really challenging thing personally for me. And so I'm always curious to know about people's, yeah, like business journey and like how that sat for them. And so that's so cool that, yeah, it was just like a normal thing in your, yeah, kind of family culture. And so you being like, actually, I'm going to start a business, people I should imagine would have been like, yeah, cool. That sounds great.
It was an interesting conversation trying to explain to my grandparents that I was starting a thong business.
Yeah, that's it. They're like, "What's your business gonna be?" And you're like, "Well"
Well, yeah, their reactions was that, but yeah, yeah, very fortunate that a lot of people in my lives have been really supportive, and even down to just a number of girlfriends who have literally got half naked in front of me and very lovely friends and help with a fit of songs. So, yeah, I'm very lucky to have role models, and I hope you meet some wonderful, empowering women that help you on your journey too, Caitlin.
Oh, well, thank you. Even speaking to you, I'm like, wow, that's so yeah. I find you'd be very inspirational to people because I think what you've done is it's massive, and also being a mother as well. That's another layer to it,
No, yeah, thank
which
you. Yes, that's
mm,
that's a whole journey of itself. Yeah, I don't think anything prepares you for it.
right. Well, yeah, I can't speak from yeah personal experience. I don't have children, but I should imagine it's something that you probably reading all the books and knowing all of that, you still wouldn't prepare you for what the reality is. How has having your business been in that time?
So I had a baby in June 21 and I had a second brother in October 23. I was a full-time mum for the first 18 months of my daughter Adelaide's life. Literally, this business just started in that time. It got to the point where things were kind of building, and I was like, okay, I think we're going to have to start some childcare. And yeah, it just kind of progressed from there. But it's, it is really hard trying to like mentally juggle and put
Mm.
enough effort in. And I am curious of, what would VLET be? If this is something I could work on full time, but also then I feel very torn because, yeah, I love my girls. So, yeah, I don't think anything prepares you for the guilt you feel when you go do something to kind of fulfill your passions, kind of feel like you should be, with them. But I think I'm actually a better balanced mum this time because I've got a good work life balance happening at the moment. When you think you've nailed it, something changes.
Something
And
else
then it's back to
changes.
the drawing board. Yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Luckily, I'm a pretty organized person. So
Yes. Yeah, I think that
that
would
helps.
definitely help having those, yeah, skills as well. And what about like, have you always been a creative person? Are you, because I feel like what you're doing is really creative,
Yeah,
like
that's actually,
designing and
yeah, really interesting question, Caitlin. Because when I was a kid, I actually felt like I was not creative at all. Like failed art. I don't know how you can fail art, but like
Mhm.
I failed art. And I think part of it's because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Like I can never stop or hand something in. I never feel like something's done. But I just kind of, as I grew up, learnt that I'm maybe not traditional in terms of creativity. I don't start and on a blank canvas and paint something. I'm not a drawer, but I do really like design and construction. And I don't know, maybe it's from my dad. Like he's really, really handy. He built our house, our childhood house. He is a plumber, but he's a jack of all trades. So I've always kind of watched
Mhm.
him solve all kinds of problems. So I don't know, maybe that's where my creative streak happened. And I think my first outlet that I found for creation and design was actually in woodwork. So pre kids, we lived in Melbourne for about 5 years. And for 4 of those years, I went to a night class and I did woodwork. So half the furniture in our house I have designed and made.
That's
So
amazing. Wow.
yeah, definitely not. It's definitely a passion of love. That's definitely not a business. But yeah, so I think it was about then that I found out I actually have a creativity streak. It's just not in a more of a, I guess, a talked about area. So yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point because we're I don't know if it's like a society thing, but when you think about, yeah, like creativity and art, like at
Mhm.
school, it's like painting or stuff that is very
Yeah.
visual in that aspect. But yeah, woodwork.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I'm creative, but just not in, I guess, what society's stereotyped, an
Yes,
artistic person to
exactly.
be. So yeah, I never
Yeah.
used to think I was creative. There
Mm.
you go.
Now you have a yeah lingerie brand and you design the. Well, it sounds like you have yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the first step was, and it and is always the fit. So the dimensional changes in the underwear. The second aspect is comfort because yes, I'm not an 18-year-old wearing heels anymore. And then the third is the design look. So yeah,
That's so
I've actually
interesting. Yeah.
working in a very close to my second range, going into production soon. So
Oh,
yeah, this is a
congratulations.
little
Oh,
sneak peek of
massive.
something
Oh,
new coming.
wow.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
So yeah, I just enjoy it.
I can see that. Yeah, they look lights you up. How do you draw them? Like the out designs, or how does that
Um,
work?
yeah, yeah. So I a lot half of it's kind of mentally done for me. It's around like construction, and then I start drawing and reiterating and wearing them and then going, okay, well, I don't like how that elastic sits across my tummy. You know, I've had two kids now, and
Oh,
it's like, well, why is no one doing really, really delicate elastics in the front across your waist and hardcore elastics in the back to hold it up? You know,
that's a
just little things that I just reiterate on. So I think it's the perfectionist side on me. I did 5 rounds of sampling for my first line, just tinkering. What if we did this? What if we
tinkering
did that?
and
Yeah.
changing, but that's how, yeah, this you would learn a lot about how it all works and
Yes. Well, that's I guess the other side of it is starting something like this. I know nothing about the fashion industry or construction of garments or production or business creation or marketing or any of those things. So
all of that.
it's actually been really great. Like my knowledge is expanded
Yeah.
so much in so many areas that I just would never have had exposure to, working just purely clinical. So yeah, that's probably been the biggest thing and probably the biggest driver is using my brain and being able to work on what started as a project when I wasn't being, a caring mum at that point. So, nap times
Yeah.
and whatever. It's been very mentally rewarding.
It's so nice to hear. I love hearing that and hearing what people say about that whole like creativity and like well-being, what they've got out of it, and just and a lot of the time it is people saying that their world is just expanded. Like, yeah, maybe it's mentally, but it's just that they never knew like how much there was to know or how much they could know. And I think that's a really exciting thing about business ownership, and particularly in something that's creative. But what are the biggest challenges that you face?
Biggest challenges, oh my gosh, you're a perfectionist. So on the product front is not non-negotiable, but I struggle to have something, 95% done and then run with it in other aspects. I'm very grateful that my husband's very technically minded. And so he's helped with all the technical aspects of my website. So I'm like, I basically want this and I want it to look like that. It's been nice that I could be the design eye, but
They can
he's
do that.
executed that for me. So very grateful in that respect. But probably the biggest challenge I found, oh gosh, probably marketing.
Mm.
Probably the area I least enjoy or I guess understand. I don't really think in that respect. So yeah, that's been an eye opener is, the importance of socials and branding and how you're communicating, what VLET is and those kind of things. That's been an interesting endeavor for me. Pre VLET, I wasn't very much a social user. So
Mm.
I found that a very interesting journey. Yeah.
And having they're kind of almost being forced to use socials because that's a lot of marketing these days, isn't it? Like
Yes.
business,
Yeah.
social media.
Yes. Very much so. That's been a journey in itself.
Yeah, and something that's so different from what you studied. You know, I don't think they covered marketing in university.
No, no, not at all. So, yes.
That's
Polar opposites.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But do you still work in like in nursing as like, or a health therapist?
I haven't worked in nursing
Yeah.
for a long time and not something that I do plan on. But in terms of oral health therapy, I do plan on
Yeah.
going back and working in that space again. I just didn't want to do it when my girls were so little.
Yeah.
And probably purely just more from a flexibility point of view. Like VLET is something that's just I've made work into the routine, and I've kind of changed when I work on it in my times and things as my goals are growing. But unfortunately, and it makes sense, but when you work in a dental office, you go in and it's your day. It just doesn't have that flexibility. So I really wanted to be at home in the early years. So yes, early next year I do plan on dipping my toe back in. Yeah. Yeah. And probably the other thing was I felt like I didn't have the emotional empathy and patience needed to really give little kitties my all. So, you know, yeah, I didn't want to be at home with kids and then go to work and work with children, which sounds terrible, but I could see I just did it wasn't going to fill my cup in the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, good on you for realizing that and then doing something about it and filling your cup in a different way. Do you feel like you would like your work in your clinical work would be somehow different, or maybe the way that you show up in your clinical work would be different now that you've got a business?
Gosh, that's a good question. I definitely think the way I would approach it after becoming a mum, yes, when working with children, but after a business, and I guess career wise, I've always preferred and worked. I've worked for 4 state departments. So like I loved offering very, very cheap or free dental care. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's where my passion lies.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I'm very interested to see. And now, before I forget, because I have forgotten several times before, but I have some rapid fire questions for you. So I hope
Oh,
you're ready, Krista.
oh gosh. Okay. Keep me, Caitlin.
Nothing too wild. What is your favorite film?
Not really a big movie person, to be honest.
Mhm.
I don't have 3 hours to sit down. I'm an ep person, which I think a lot of us have gone that way. And if I had to probably name my favorite, it would be Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Who's your favorite character in Game of Thrones?
Oh, it's not a main character, but
Mhm.
I like Alina Tyrell.
Ah, yeah, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I think she's a great character. She's fierce, she's loyal, she protects her family, she's very pluey, very switched on,
Mhm.
and yeah, she's got some matriarchal power. I don't know. I just I enjoy her.
You resonate with her. I could see.
Uh,
Yeah. That's cool. I recently started what because yeah, Game of Thrones is a show that I started watching it way back when it started when it
yeah.
first came out, but then I stopped watching it for some reason. And then there was so many seasons and I just felt so overwhelmed with it. And so I was like, well, I can't watch it now. But only recently, like the start of the year, my husband and I started watching it again. But we stopped at season 5. And so I still
Okay.
haven't finished it. But I know what happens. But yeah.
That's what happens
Mm.
when you're behind on the start. Yeah, it can get ruined, but it is. Yeah, it's worth the watch. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just like that
So
they threw the rule book out.
yeah, definitely. It's a good show for sure. Oh, I love TV. And what about a concert that you'll never forget?
Excellent. Uh, Love Never Dies, which is the sequel to Phantom of the Opera. I watched it in Melbourne, and it was just absolutely captivating.
Ah,
Yeah,
wow. I
and
haven't.
I'm not like an opera goer. I guess I grew up in the dancing space. I did a lot of ballet and
Yeah.
tap and jazz, and kind of a little bit in the performing arts side. But yeah, I just my brain stopped thinking about anything else.
Wow. That's a good sign. Hey, that
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was beautifully
which
done.
oh, I'll
And
have to
I'm
look
pretty
it
sure
up.
I'm pretty sure I had the song echoing in my head for like a week.
You goosebumps when that happens. That's so cool. And
Yeah.
this is now the last question is a bit some people like are terrified by this question, but what's an absurd thing about you or something a quirky thing that you love or, like, maybe a boring fact about you?
Quirk is probably, which I actually came up earlier, is probably my wood obsession. So a lot of people come over and I've got like, a wood statue and all these kind of different furnitures going on. And often people like say something about it. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of made that. And it really just stumps people. So I guess that's my quirky thing. Yeah.
It is something that's
My love of wood.
what your love of wood, but
Yeah.
that you've made things. It's pretty cool. And I think it's a very unique thing to.
Yeah.
Would you ever like do a photo shoot with the wood, or is that like with your lingerie, or is that just like a bit? You know, maybe I'm just like me, and I'm not things like it.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I haven't really thought about it. I've definitely taken photographs of my thongs on wood.
Oh yeah, because I had
Yeah,
an
on my
image of
coffee
something like that.
table and yeah, like I guess my coffee table and a few bits and pieces of my furniture are featured in, some content as far as it's got right now. But I
That's
haven't
as far as.
dedicated the photo shoot to that, yeah.
Oh, my brain.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, it kinda goes a bit wacky after.
No, tell me about it.
How can people find you and get in contact with you?
Our website is vlette.com and our socials vlette_lingerie and email, DM, you will get me, whichever your preference is. So yeah, Vlette's actually a word I made up. So it's just VLETTE. So I just created that. Yeah, that's how you find me.
Beautiful. That was you answered a question that I had that I didn't write down because I was curious about the name and where that came
Oh,
from.
well, I was getting a pedicure. My toenails were terrible. So I went to go to a pedicure and I was like just trying to come up with like a name for it when I was referencing it. This is before this was it was still in the idea phase. And at the time I think I was referring to it to my friends as Foxies. My last name's Fox. And I was like, God, it just got the sexual slant. I was like, God, I just don't think we should go there. And yeah, so I was having a pedicure and I was like deeply thinking about it. And I was like, how do I convey, shorter length in a name? And I was like, I can't. But in the end, I ended up with Vlette, which V for, womanhood or I guess vagina, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
And et is the suffix for short. So I just put it together and made Vlette.
Very clever. I love that. It's so interesting, yeah, like the names and how they come to be. So it's very cool of you that yeah, came
Yeah.
up with that.
Yeah. So yeah, just a little bit unique. But
Yeah,
I wanted a
definitely very
name that
unique.
kind of represented what we do.
Beautiful.
I
Oh,
hope
but this has been so
I've
fun. I've loved this.
I'm so happy. I
Did
appreciate you hanging out with me.
Yeah, it's been so fun. But do you have any is there anything that's come up for you as we've been talking that you feel like you wanna say or anything that's been on your mind that I haven't asked that you're like, "Oh, I wish Caitlin would have said this, asked this."
No, not particularly. If your listeners are listening and they have an idea or a creative outlet or a business idea, then yeah, start mocking it up. Start thinking about it because you just never know what might happen.
Wow.
And the fun and the learnings you get out of it, fantastic. I had a friend who put it one way. She said, "You've pretty well done a real world MBA, Krista, without going back to uni. If you've got a problem, like you'd be surprised that you're not the only one out there. Yeah, start chatting over wines.
You start chatting over
start,
wines and us. Yeah. I was
start,
about to
start,
say something
start
else, but
pitching. Yeah,
yeah.
no,
That's a beautiful way to
I think
end. I don't think yeah.
I think us ladies need to do a bit more supporting in that space. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so too. Absolutely. I so agree with you there. But it's been a delight to chat with you. And I'm really excited to follow Vlette and see, yeah, where it takes you and what you do and your next line. Good luck with that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm keen to hear the journeys of everyone you interview. I think it's just a very creative space to be interviewing women who've, switched or struggling across different lines of work. I think they'll be very, very intriguing podcasts.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. That's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Healers with Hustles. If you've enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a tiny favor and subscribe to the show? Just tap the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and you'll be the first to know as soon as a new episode drops. Thanks so much for listening. Okay, ta-ta for now.